G'day everyone, I am Lucas.
Oh, and I'm Leo. Cheers.
And I am from the Aussie Gamers Experience, and he's not. And you're watching Spacies.
Spacies.
G'day invaders and welcome to Spacies, and just a couple of weeks back I celebrated 3 years here on YouTube, and I got to thinking, how am I going to celebrate this moving on? So I figured, well, I'm not going to do a state of the channel video because I do enough of them already as it is, and I don't think you guys want to hear me ramble on about numbers of how many views I got and all that sort of nonsense. And then I also figured, well, it's been a while since I've done a game room tour, so yeah, I thought from now on, when I celebrate my annual celebration, my birthday here on YouTube, I'm going to start doing game room tours from now on. It's been a while since I've done my last one, which was beginning of last year actually. So just a bit of a disclaimer, this video is going to go on for a little bit. So if you're not interested in seeing a bunch of retro games, go away now because this is going to drag on a bit. There's also going to be a lot of jump cuts. I'm going to try and skim through this as much as possible. There's not going to be me going on to every single game. It would take forever. More of just a quick overview of, well, when I say quick, maybe 20 or so minutes. Yeah, just of how the room's progressed and what I intend to do with this room. So let's get started. Alright, well, I'm going to start off with the top row here. I've got my light in the way, so I'm trying to move this out of the way and do this all one-handed. But yeah, this is all my boxed items, my Mario Rapids Kingdom Battle Collector's Edition, the Switch box there, also my Master System stuff, including a Sega Light Phaser box sealed. Yes, I will unbox that one day when I get a TV to be able to use it. Also SimCity. Going to continue on over without trying to knock over any lights and also without stepping on a cat that's down here. How you doing there, Fufu? Fufu? No, she's out to it. Alright, so we've also got my pop vinyl stuff. I'm not really big on the pop vinyls, but you know, it's Sonic. So I figured I would, you know, just grab them, get the collection. My Vita box. Also, this is the Sonic 20th anniversary figurine that my brother got me. I think he got that for me for a birthday years gone by. And that was originally up on the wall over here, but it fell down while I was typing away actually, and it clonked me on the head. And you've also got Sega Saturn phaser gun, the multi-tap adapter for the Super Nintendo, yet more figurines for Sonic back there. Would love to get a bigger room to be able to show all this off at once. A Pac-Man, so I miss Pac-Man. I love just hearing the sound effects of that. Love it. And then there's the box for the Legend of Zelda light display that I got. Now this is the compact Mega Drive, kind of like a Mega Drive Mini, but not HDMI output. That's actually one of my best, when I did the unboxing for that Mega Drive there, that's actually one of my best performing videos ever, which is kind of strange. There's one of those crap at-game Mega Drive clones, a limited Streets of Rage edition. It's got nothing to do with Streets of Rage. Unbox it and there's nothing to mark it out to make it look any different to any of the other Mega Drive minis that they've put out. Yeah, and then here you got the Mega Drive Sonic Mania Collector's Edition. I bought that off Cameron, that was pretty cool. And back behind it you've also got the Sega Genesis. And the only reason why I bought the Sega Genesis was because it came with Sonic and Knuckles. I wouldn't have bought this without that. So that was the only reason why I bought it. And that is actually in pretty much immaculate condition. You got all your Master System stuff here. Let me adjust this. This is so awkward. All right, here we go. All the Master System titles. I'm just going to move these out of the way quick. There we go. So there you go. You got a bit more of an idea of the games I've got. Phantasy Star buried away there in a corner. First roleplay game that I ever played. Moving on to Rampage, My Hero. Also, I found out that I got 2 copies of Choplifter. Well, I knew that. I got a Lucy and also the box one. But I've also got 2 copies of Wonder Boy Monsterland. I don't know how I ended up with that. I think my brother gave me the second copy, that's right. And these Sonic titles, a lot of these I only just got this year because I never really picked up games for the Master System in the past, which is something I'm correcting now. Okay, and then we go on to the Mega Drive stuff. You've got Virtua Racing. That's the most expensive game in my collection when I purchased it. $200 it was on launch. Man, that's back in 94 towards the end of the Mega Drive's life. These are all my new latest additions to the collection. Genesis cartridge games. Never really had many in the red box, but now I'm starting to get a little bit more. Picked Phantasy Star 4 up this year. That was awesome to get that in addition to Phantasy Star 1 and Phantasy Star 2. Sonic and Knuckles came with the Genesis, as I mentioned there beforehand. I got Road Rash, but unfortunately it plays slowly on the Mega Drive that I've got. I'm going to get my Mega Drive altered so it can play in 60 Hertz and also 50 Hertz. Also, there's more of the Mega Drive stuff I've got. Columns, yes. Mario Lemieux hockey, I was big into the hockey. Skitchin, Lemmings, Sensible Soccer, Speedball 2. A lot of these games, a few of them I actually reviewed for Megazone magazine back in the day. More Mega Drive stuff, but before we get to the Mega Drive stuff, Sonic Mania. Did a video on this, sorry Fufu. Sorry, I did a video on this and it went viral because Nintendo Life picked up my unboxing video on that. So that was really cool to see that trend. This here is the only 32X game I own. I just never liked the 32X. Just did not like that console one bit. And I only picked it up on clearance. Sonic Spinball's a new game I picked up this year. So there's another one. Another one that I picked up this year was, well, Christmas last year actually. Spider-Man, X-Men, Arcade's Revenge, and another one, a new edition, Toe Jam and Earl, because I picked up Toe Jam and Earl on the Switch. And you've also got Phantasy Star 2, the very first Mega Drive game that I ever owned. This one's a new one I picked up on my last trip actually, only because I never heard of this title, so I picked it up just purely based on the fact that that is one ugly cover. I don't know who greenlit that, but that is just ugly. But I'm trying to flesh out as many more Mega Drive Japanese games as I can. And oops, sorry Fufu. You're in an awkward place there, cat. Sonic 2, my copy of Sonic 2 is a little bit different to most because it is, if I can get this open, an early release model without the artwork, because we got that, here we go, the Sega Hotline. While I was working on the Sega Hotline, they gave us an early release version and the cover art was not ready at that time, so I ended up getting a sneak preview to the game about a couple of months out before release actually. Wrestle Ball, this is the latest edition. I just picked this up recently off eBay. Loved the game back in the day and just glad to pick this up finally. So Populous back there is one of the early games that came out from EA before they went to plastic carts covers. Then you've got 3 more Japanese releases. Now this one here is not an official release. Shui Hu Feng Yong Zhuang. Basically it's a fighter's game. I copied this off the internet and copied that out and to get a cover for it. It was given to me by an eBay seller, and he sent me that because I bought something off him, and he recognized my channel, which is, excuse me, which is kind of weird. That I don't know how he knew about my channel. My username on eBay is not since Spacies, so kind of curious as to how he found that out, but there you go. Also, these were the victims from the Sonic figurine falling down from the wall. This part here, the hook, broke on both of them, so now I've got to try and figure out another way of getting them to hang back up on the wall. Alright, so continuing on, we've got more Mega Drive stuff back here, including Shane Warne's cricket, yes, Australian Rugby League, and I actually worked with a guy that ended up getting credited for that game. He was in the credits of that particular title, which I thought was pretty good. I think he even went as far as having one of the players named after him, because they couldn't get the rights to the players' names. So there's no official names in that particular game. Then we've got Landstalker, awesome game, which is on the Sega Mega Drive Mini, which is coming out very soon. I think that's on the Western release. Yeah, we've got Sonic 3, the Japanese cover and also the Western cover. Sadly though, this is empty. I do not own the game. Oh, I got a spare Mega Drive Sonic. I got a spare Sonic 1 sitting in there. I don't know how I ended up with 2 copies of Sonic 1. Okay, so we've got my Mega CD titles over here. Puyo Puyo on the Mega Drive. My Cable Buddy. Let's get this up. My Cable Buddy or Cable Mate, I think they call it. Is it Cable Mate or Cable Buddy? I'll find out later, but yeah, I picked this up and I'm going to be getting the Tails version, which is coming up very soon. So yeah, this is my Mega Drive, my Mega CD collection, and you've got, of course, Snatcher sitting there, and also, I don't know, out of all these titles, Snatcher's definitely the highlight. One game I spent hours on was NHL Hockey 94 back in the day, but you've also got Luna. So Luna was another highlight, and of course Final Fight. Final Fight CD is probably the most, how would you put it? The one game that you can show off the most on that system. Moving over, before we go on, this is a scarf that I picked up from Japan in Hokkaido from the Pokemon Center store, and it's for the Hokkaido Carps baseball team. It's the only place you can pick it up apparently. So that was pretty cool to get that. Then over here we've got just some random boxed Wii and Wii U titles. I've got to get back into Mario Maker. I'm not quite sold on the Switch version of that yet, because I've got still this one here, and I personally don't see the new features on the Switch version being enough to drag me over to that version. One day I might get convinced. Then you've got, this was purchased at a game store where the guy actually recognized me. So he suggested that I buy that. Couldn't give it to me, mongrel. Only joking, only joking. But yeah, that's a pop vinyl. And that's the only other pop vinyl I've got. So I've got 5 and that's it. I don't see myself buying any more of them because I'm not a huge fan of pop vinyls, simply because I think they're taking over every store, and I'm just really fed up with seeing them, to be quite honest. Then you've got the more Mega CD titles and Happy Home Designer. Now Luna, the complete Luna, what is it? Luna Silverstar Story Complete came to me and from eBay, and I was super stoked to get this until I found that it was all cracked and the CD inside was cracked, so I never got a chance to play that properly. Such a waste. Some more PlayStation 1 titles. Street Fighter Alpha 3 is probably the most played out of the whole lot in the PlayStation for me. besides Final Fantasy 7. Then we've got Burger Time. And I'll just show you more of the PlayStation titles. There we are. Mr. Game & Watch is in the way. Actually, that is a pretty cool amiibo. Out of all the amiibos, this one's probably the best because you can actually change over to the different characters of Mr. Game & Watch. Anyway, you got Wipeout, Parappa the Rapper, G Darius. It's an awesome shooter. I really do like that. We've got a loose, not loose, but a box for WarioWare, which is just sitting here because I'm running out of shelf space here. Then there's a 32X. I didn't realize, I forgot I had this. Super Mario Land. I thought I was having to buy that. I think this is one? Yeah, Super Mario Land. I forgot I purchased that. Space Invaders, Mother. That just turned 20? I'm not sure. There was a major milestone on that title just recently. Super Mario Bros. 3 and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The weird thing about all these games is that I actually do not own a Famicom. I do not have any way of playing these. I just picked them up because I like the look of the cartridges. I will fix that one day. Sega Chess and also Spellcaster. They were donated to me by Cameron. Thank you, matey. Tails here is actually sitting on a bunch of DS games that I've got. I'll show you the boxes for them a little later. Okay, so moving on to PlayStation 2. I'll move the Kirby. This is a Kirby light that I picked up in Japan. That was pretty cool. Move Space Invaders up here. So there's all my PlayStation 2 titles. I never really got into the PlayStation 2. I was more into Xbox, which you'll see in a moment. Xbox was my jam. Just didn't think that the PlayStation 2 was offering anything new at the time, and I was kind of right. PlayStation didn't have an internal memory card system, a hard drive, which I really liked on the Xbox. That was the reason why I picked that system up at the time. Out of all these, the one that I enjoy the most, probably Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Again, I don't really enjoy the PlayStation 2. Maybe I got to find more games for the system to get me to change my mind on that. Moving on, we have got, I'll go on to the displays here for a second. So we've got Shadow, which I picked up online, super cheap. It was actually, I think, $20 for the Shadow display, which was really cool. Inside here is a mini Master System micro. I had more of these. I had the complete lot, all the Sega consoles, including the SG-1000, and I don't know where they went. They just disappeared. So this is the only one I've got left, sadly. And a Sonic display that I picked up just recently. Alex Kidd, why are you here? You should be up there. This was sent to me by a colleague at work. He bought it from America for me, and it's one of these 8 balls. Will I double in subscribers in 2020? And it says, ask again later. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so this is my PSP collection. That's the only loose cartridge or loose title I've got in amongst the PSPs. Favorite or highlights on the PSP for me? Test Drive was awesome. I like that. Star Ocean, I spent quite a few hours on that. No one game in particular that really stood out for me. It was just a very good experience overall as a little portable console. I didn't pick it up during its heyday, so maybe that was my downfall. Yeah, and I still haven't played that, the Metal Gear Solid. I picked it up because it was super cheap at in Japan, so I got to spend some time on that. Moving right along, we have got also, oh, before I do go on, this is I've already shown this off. This is a selection of stamps. So yeah, this is a collection of stamps from Australia Post to celebrate 40 years of Space Invaders, and it's got on the front a button that you press and it makes the sound effects from the game. It's so cool. Plus, on top of that, I've also got the record single for Space Invaders from 1979. Love having that in my collection. And of course we've got the Sonic Toaster, gotta burn them all. What am I saying, gotta burn them all? I mean, gotta burn them fast. Gotta toast fast. God, get it right. Also, Master System Visual Compendium. I can't stress, oh my God, it's so heavy. I can't stress enough how decent, how awesome this release is. So for those of you who have not looked at any of these in the past, you really should consider. This is a heavy hard case, hardcover book released by Bitmap Books in conjunction with Games You Loved. It is super heavy. Yeah, just such an awesome release, and I've still got to spend some time with reading that, but it is just an awesome release, and every page is done caringly and lovingly in that book, and I can't recommend it enough. All right, and here is my Game Boy Advance collection. I'm just going to move Mimic U out of the way. Got a couple of loose Game Boy Advance special edition releases that I picked up from Japan, and that one for the Famicom Mini collection. This is before Famicom Mini was a thing, so that's interesting that came out after, before the introduction of the Famicom Mini that we know and love today. Couple of amiibos just sitting around. That's my Game Boy Advance, and I was, yes, hooking it up to the GameCube to try something out on that. It didn't really, that's right, I was trying to play Link's Four Swords, and it was kind of an interesting concept at the time, but didn't really bring anything major to the game having that ability, but I guess it would have been a bit of a novelty back in the day. But yeah, these are, I'll move this out of the way. That's my Game Boy Advance boxed collection, and some of those are actually impressive as far as how good they are in the order they are in. Shark's Tail's sealed over there. I have no intention of opening that. It's just, it looks rubbish. It was donated to me. My Neo Geo Mini, which I picked up in Japan on the last trip. Love that. It is, it's not without its flaws. Someone was asking me earlier today, I heard that it was rubbish. I wouldn't say rubbish, I think that's an overkill or an overstretch, but it was, how would you put it? Playing it on the console itself is worthwhile, but playing it on the TV, it loses something. It's not done in 180p, and I think that's a major setback. Moving on, we've got Chun-Li, a few other just random bits and pieces here. Famicom glass, or tumbler that I picked up from EB Games a little while back, $2, awesome. And Samus is sitting on a Game Boy, sorry, not Game Boy, a Donkey Kong Jr. Game & Watch repo. And back there you can see a Famicom, Famicom keyboard, I should say. That was picked up from Japan for me. So someone gave that to me on the channel, a neighbor. Thanks, Aaron. Now, this lot, again, got to move along. Famicom Mini case, nothing in it yet. It's elsewhere. I'm actually got it, you'll see it in a second. Also behind here, you can see the Final Fantasy Echoes of Time Limited Edition DSi. That is just such a awesome looking console. Shame the game wasn't that good. Yeah, shame the game wasn't that good because the actual console itself is awesome as far as limited editions go. Plus you've also got Samus Edition, new 3DS, plus this is weird. It's a Pikachu charger, wall charger, where you put the USB, not in his date. I would have figured that that's where you would have put it, but I picked this up from the Pokemon Center. Couldn't resist. A lot of this here is dead space. I've got, you know, just some boxes. I need to put them away in storage, I think, because they're not really worthwhile displaying, I feel. Game Boy, sorry. I was going to say GameCube, sorry. That's my Australian GameCube, or the power one, and a couple of Sega bags. Moving right along, we've got more stuff over here. We've got the Lynx, the Atari Lynx, sitting just idle. This was sent to me. It's not actually anything in it. They just gave me the box, figuring that I won't throw the box out. So one day I got to pick up a American edition SNES or Super Nintendo with the lilac buttons. Still haven't got one of them. One day. Also we've got Wolfenstein 2 with the figurine that came with it. I love that. Some guides. Move down a bit. There we go. Some how-to guides, walkthroughs. A really cool bunch of magazines that I picked up showing the history of video games, and that guide there for Animal Crossing is just simply ridiculously big, and that's Animal Crossing. That's not Animal Crossing itself, that's the Happy Home Designer. It's just ridiculous how big that thing is. Some plushies back here. These will all go. Eventually this will be just games, but for now it's just filling up the space. You've also got my entire Dreamcast collection in one little spot. That's quite miserable actually. I need to work on that, including the limited edition 10-year anniversary special for Sonic Adventures 2. Sealed Virtual Tennis 2. One day I'll get the time to play that. Moving over, being careful not to hit the cat. She's still sleeping down there. Hey, Fufu. You're not going to move, are you? Hey? She's not well, I think. Okay, so we've got Famicom. So this is the Jump. I can't remember the name of the magazine, but the 50th, I'll splash it up on the screen. The 50th anniversary edition that was released in Japan only, and the Famicom itself. Just a random GameCube controller lying back there. This is the controller for the SNK Neo Geo Mini. And also back here, this was sent to me just recently to the channel. Thanking you. Twitter name will go up there. Bing! Thanks, man. I really do appreciate that. And then you've got my Nintendo 64 and also Famicom releases from Japan. Heart Gold version and the Pokemon Walker. The funny story of this is that I had to order this off eBay again because I lost my original one. I do not know what happened to it. Ended up under a lounge or something. It will turn up one day. And the Wii U Walker as well. Funnily enough, these are actually more accurate than most pedometers that were being sold on the market at the time. Kind of strange. Also, I've got my Mortal Kombat original soundtrack, which is pretty cool. And then you've got just, you know, a nice collection there of some Xbox One titles. Trying to think of what I would say was a highlight for me. Halo 2. Definitely highlights for me, but also Grand Theft Auto 3, or San Andreas I should say. So San Andreas was one of the big highlights for me on that system as well. And Project Gotham Racing, the one that was set in Sydney, that I loved that at the time. It even had real radio stations. It even had radio stations that were actual radio stations here in Sydney, which was a pretty cool little thing to see in a video game. One day I've got to put these in a proper place. And anyway, just more random junk. Oh, have you seen this boy? Just sitting idle. Oh, and these are my soundtracks that were given to me by Cameron Hans. He's got heaps. He just keeps pumping this stuff out. It's amazing. that one guy can just keep coming up with so much stuff, but there's a whole stack of different CDs that he has put out. He's donated that to me. And anyway, moving on, we have got the GameCube collection. Very small and pathetic collection there, but we've also got Mario Party 7 for the GameCube, Japanese edition. A random Intellivision title just sitting there. Moving over, I'll move Kirby. I won him in Japan. So this is my Japanese GameCube collection, and as you can see, it's a lot more predominant than the PAL versions that I've got. I'll let you have a little gander there at what I've got. Highlights for me so far on the GameCube, besides Animal Crossing, because that's a given. I liked Mario Golf actually. I played it the other day for the first time. I enjoyed that. I just didn't think though that... Actually no, it was the Nintendo 64 version I didn't like. The Nintendo 64 version, you didn't have enough control over the ball when you hit it, but the Mario Golf on the GameCube was a huge improvement, I thought. Yeah, and also Mario Sunshine. I like that game. I don't care what anyone says. It was a good title. So that's my DS collection and 3DS titles. I moved Chibi Robo. Look at Chibi Robo's a pretty sad release, really. That character needs more love from Nintendo. I don't know why they're not giving it the attention it deserves. But yeah, Sonic Colors is probably one of the better games on the DS. As for 3DS, man, where do you start? Such a good console. So many decent titles. Probably, and again, besides Animal Crossing, Super Smash Bros. Was a highlight. Even though they had the Wii U version as well. Zelda. Man, there's just so many decent titles. Oh yeah, Sonic Chronicles, The Dark Brotherhood. Sealed, never touched. One day I'll get it out. And some Sonic figurines. That's my Vita collection. Quite small, quite non-impressive. And yeah. Alright, and over here we've got the Famicom Mini and the NES Mini sitting there in their covers, and also the Pikachu Nintendo 64 edition. Sorry, let me do that again. The Nintendo 64 Pikachu edition. Get it right. That's the Japanese one that you're seeing over there. Got some Wii and Wii U titles here. Also including the Negcon controller. If you've not played a racing game with that, you have not played a racing game properly. That's my stance on it. Really hard to get used to that controller at first, but worthwhile. Okay, and we've also got The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess. Moving these out of the way. Oh, that was a really cheesy look back in time at the games of yesteryear. It is such a bad DVD, but someone told me to buy it because of how bad it is. That's my Wii U collection that you're seeing there. So first off, Wii highlights. Super Mario Brothers, Wii, I liked it. New Super Mario Brothers, that is. And I also like Twilight Princess. I don't care what anyone says, I liked that one a lot. And probably if I had to pick one more, probably Super Mario, Super Paper Mario. That was a pretty decent title at the time. As far as Wii U highlights, Super Mario Maker has to be mentioned. Definitely not Hello Kitty. And we've also got over here, I have not played Paper Mario much on this system. It was one of the last releases for it. Need to give that some more love. But for me, the highlight for Wii U was Xenoblade Chronicles X. That game just absolutely kicked it. And Super Smash Bros. Wii U is also up there as well. Moving over, we're into the 360 territory now. So I'm going to move this box out of the way. This is the Neo Geo Mini box that you're seeing there, along with the cover for the controller. Now, before I go on to explain what the collection here is, This is a bunch of lollies or candy that was given to me from my friends over at What the Show. Unfortunately, they don't put out any more videos. Real shame, Joe and Dustin. I just don't understand why they didn't get more subscribers. They were such a good channel, and it's just sad to see them dormant now on YouTube. I hope that they will make a comeback of sorts. Back to the Xbox 360 highlights. I don't know, leave your comments down below too, by the way, guys, if you got a highlight that I should have mentioned. You can see I love my NHL. I've got NHL 7 right up to 13 there. Highlights though, well, the Halo 3, without a doubt, has to get a mention. Skyrim on this thing was so damn good, and Oblivion. To really push that system as far as they did, that was pretty cool. Whoops, I'll just move my PSP box out of the way there. I don't know what, I definitely not Final Fantasy 13. That was a disappointment. Major disappointment. But I've got more Xbox 360 titles in a second. Just going to quickly show you though a couple of random Sonic dolls and whatever there, figurines, plus an Earthworm Jim lunchbox. Alright, down to the bottom row. We're almost finished, guys. Oh yeah, this is a cushion, Sonic cushion I've had since the 90s. Now, just recently I picked up Mario Kart for the first time. So on the Wii, so I have to get into that. Highlights for the Wii U, sorry, for the Xbox 360 highlights. Grand Theft Auto 4, I couldn't get over how much they managed to push that system, considering the limitations that the Xbox 360 had. Burnout Paradise is another one that is worthy of a mention. And Star Ocean is a game that no one really talks about. That was a pretty good release for the Xbox 360. Look, there's just too many really good games here. I guess you just got to have a look and see which ones you like in amongst it. Also, the Justifier was sent in to me by Hyrule is Evil from Twitter. So, thanking you for sending me that. Hello. You sleepy there? She's not feeling well. She's a little under the weather. So this is my magazine collection. So a lot of these magazines, I will put them in the proper storage one day, but all these magazines I've had some sort of contribution in. So these are the Megazone collection here, and that's a Hyper magazine collection along with a couple of EGMs, etc. But most of these magazines I've had some sort of contribution, some sort of review in. Then my Xenoblade Chronicles X guide in the months there, and a HES title. Behind there you can see a pretty rare vinyl actually, excuse me, my Mega Drive Master System power adapter. Okay, so that there is a vinyl limited edition record that was released for the release of the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection. Only 3,600 of those exist, I think it was, and that's 270 something. Yeah, and I got a couple of loose Super Nintendo titles and a couple of loose Nintendo 64 titles sitting over there as well. And buried over in the corners, just a couple of random Sonic toys and an unopened Lego Dimensions game, which one day I'll get to. I've already played that because someone donated it to me on the channel, loose, and then I found it sealed. So I went and bought it, or despite the fact I already owned it, because I wanted it sealed. Okay, so in here we've got the Super Nintendo's titles behind a little bit of a display you can see here. That was Pokemon Pinball that was lent out to my brother, and about 15 years later he returns it immaculate. I still don't get that. And Pokemon Sapphire, that was donated to me. Look at the condition of that box, that's awesome. This is simply awesome. And then you got my little Sonic display, because, you know, love my Sonic, including the watch from the Sega hotline when I was working there. It no longer works, sadly. I'll finish off, you've got Dreamcast and also Master System. You can't see it because of all the glare. I'll move this out of the way. Alright, and then I'm finishing off with the Sega Saturn collection that you can see back there. And up here buried away is the SC3000. It has its home sitting up here. That was a controller that was given to me by Xbox. That was awesome. And along with that, they gave me that as well, the Forza figurine. So, and also, I'll move on over here. I've also got a G-Con 2 gun, which I just picked up recently. 4-way play adapter for the Mega Drive. And the Game Boy Micro still in its box. I'm going to wrap things up here quickly, but I thought I have to show you my Mega Drive. The only thing missing there is the 32X to make up the Tower of Power. I have so I've got the Mega Drive, Mega CD, Sega Saturn. I've got the another GameCube, that's my Japanese model, along with the Game Boy Advance adapter. Buried here in the corner, you've got a PlayStation, here it is, sorry, PlayStation 2 buried underneath all those controllers. And my little display corner, including Hatsune, and also my Sonic lamp, and and the Ocarina of Time. Let me see if I can get this right, hang on. There you go. Alright, you get the gist. And down here, in amongst all these wires and mess, a Wii U, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and I've got my my Xbox One just sitting up here in the meantime because I was doing some streaming for Team Sonic Racing, and last off, a dodgy Sega Mega Drive disc interceptor to allow me to pirate games back in the day to cartridge to disc. And yeah, that's pretty much my room. So that's been my quick look at my game room for 2019. Anyone that's just starting out on collecting retro gaming, I really do feel sorry for you because a lot of this stuff is now quite pricey. And you got to keep in mind that I've been collecting, well, my first game I got was in 1986. So, and I haven't been continuously collecting, it's been on and off. But more so in the last few years, I've been really concentrating hard on building up my little collection here. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to pretend that I've got the world's biggest collection. I know that quite a lot of the people that are following me on Twitter have got really outstanding collections compared to what I've got. But the most important thing for me is that this is mine. This is my little story that I'm looking at here, and I'd like to build on it over the next couple of years. But for now, I'm quite happy with what I've got. It's quite a neat little collection, if I don't mind saying so myself. I've got to have a little moment here to thank in particular two patrons, Sendu and MGB. These are two big Patreon supporters of my channel, and all the other patrons as well. You guys are always a huge boost to my morale when it comes to making these videos. So this is year 3. I'm hoping to go on to make it onto 10 years or more on here on YouTube and also on Twitch. So yeah, don't forget to catch up with my Twitch streams every Tuesday and also every Thursday night. You'll see the link down below. I don't think I've really got much more to say than that, but hope you guys enjoyed the quick look around my room. It wasn't really quick, but it was quick as I could do it. And until next time, my name has been Brian and I've been gaming since Spacies. Thanks guys.
Since Spacies.